Okay, so welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
And today we're looking at something that might be a little bit tough to talk about.
Yeah, it might rub some people the wrong way.
Exactly. Yeah, we're talking about suffering.
Yeah, the necessity of suffering.
The necessity of suffering.
And a meaningful life.
Yeah, for a meaningful life.
Like, what is the point of suffering and why is it necessary?
And actually, you sent us a transcript. It was from a YouTube video called Elevate Journey.
Right.
And it really digs into this idea that suffering is actually kind of needed for a good life.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of counterintuitive. You know, we try to avoid suffering in all its forms.
We do.
But this Elevate Journey video really makes the point that maybe a little bit of suffering is actually what we need to live a better life.
I mean, it makes sense when you really think about it.
Yeah.
But the goal of this deep dive is really to unpack that and figure out why.
Right.
Why is suffering so important?
And how can we kind of look at suffering in a new light?
Yeah, like not just like, oh, I need to avoid this, but maybe this is something that I can actually use to my advantage.
Yeah, and it's not just about emotional pain. You know, this Elevate Journey piece really emphasizes that suffering takes on many forms.
What kind of forms?
We're talking about the physical, you know, that ache in your muscles after a tough workout.
Right.
Or maybe chronic pain that you're dealing with.
Or even like emotional pain, like you were saying, like grieving.
Yeah, exactly. The loss of a loved one, heartbreak, the sting of rejection.
All of that.
It's all part of this tapestry of suffering that the video talks about.
But isn't that like our first instinct as humans to avoid pain?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Right.
But what this video is saying is, what if that instinct to constantly run away from discomfort is actually what's preventing us from experiencing true fulfillment?
I see.
You know, it's asking us to reconsider whether discomfort is a glitch in the system or a vital component of growth and meaning.
I mean, it's kind of like that Nietzsche quote. Yeah. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering.
Bingo. Yeah, that really hits the nail on the head.
It does.
It's not about glorifying suffering.
Right.
It's about recognizing its inherent role in shaping our lives.
Yeah. And I really liked the point that the video made about like contracts and how without the lows,
The highs.
we can't really feel the highs.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't know what happiness feels like if you never experienced sad.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like, you know, you work really hard for a promotion.
Right.
And then you get it.
Ah,
It's like so much sweeter because you went through all the struggles.
absolutely.
It's there.
Yeah. And the video also asks us to think about it on a personal level. You know,
Yeah.
have you ever gone through a really tough period in your life and then come out the other side feeling this overwhelming sense of relief,
Oh, yeah.
gratitude, and joy?
Like that feeling of like, I survived.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that feeling is amplified because of what you went through, right?
It's true.
It makes you wonder if our capacity for joy is actually deepened by those difficult experiences.
And this idea of contrast kind of feeds into another point that the video makes about how a life without suffering
Yeah.
would actually be kind of meaningless.
Right. It might sound appealing on the surface,
It does.
but a life without challenges, without obstacles, without pain would lack depth.
Right.
It would lack that sense of hard-earned growth.
Like, what would we learn?
Yeah, what would be the point?
And it's true. Like, every good story,
Yeah,
every story that we love is
Yes.
about overcoming something.
exactly. There's always some kind of conflict or struggle that the protagonist has to face.
Exactly.
And it's through that struggle that they grow and ultimately triumph
And then the Elevate Journey piece talks about something kind of interesting, which is chosen suffering
versus unchosen suffering.
versus, yeah, suffering that's kind of thrust upon us.
Yeah, this is a really important distinction.
So explain it.
So chosen suffering is like when you intentionally put yourself in a situation that you know is going to be difficult,
Okay.
like training for a marathon
Oh, yeah.
or starting a business or, you know, even something like choosing to have a difficult conversation
Right.
because you know it needs to happen.
It's like ripping off the Band-Aid.
Exactly. You're choosing to go through that discomfort
Mm.
because you see the value in the long run.
Okay, I got it.
But then there's unchosen suffering.
The stuff that we can't control.
Exactly. The things that happen to us that we didn't ask for, like illness, the loss of a job,
A global pandemic.
like,
A natural disaster.
all the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff.
But the video is saying that both types of suffering can
Yeah.
actually be good.
Can be opportunities for growth.
I mean, that's kind of hard to swallow when you think about, like, you know, someone who's going through a terrible illness.
Right. I mean, it's not to say that we should minimize or invalidate the pain that people experience in those situations.
But what the video is suggesting is that even in those incredibly difficult circumstances, there's still potential for growth and transformation.
Like how?
Well, think about it. When we're faced with these unexpected challenges, we're forced to adapt. We have to dig deep and find resources within ourselves that we might not have even known we had.
So it's like building resilience.
Exactly. We learn to cope. We learn to problem solve. We learn to find meaning and purpose even in the midst of pain.
And that kind of leads into this idea of controlling our response.
To suffering.
Yeah.
Which is a huge part of the Elevate Journey message.
Yeah, because we can't always control what happens to us.
Right. We can't prevent bad things from happening.
But we can choose how we react to them.
Exactly. And that's where our power lies.
Because it's easy to feel like a victim.
Yeah, when things are tough, it's natural to want to wallow in self-pity.
It's true.
But the video is encouraging us to take a more empowered stance.
So it's like, okay, this bad thing happened, but now what am I going to do about it?
Exactly. Yeah, how can I use this experience to learn and grow and become a stronger person?
And isn't that how resilience is built?
Yeah, resilience is not something you're born with. It's something you develop over time.
Through facing challenges.
Exactly. Through navigating those difficult experiences and coming out the other side.
But isn't it kind of unfair, though?
What?
That some people have to go through so much more than others to build that resilience?
Well, yeah, life isn't fair.
It's not.
And the video acknowledges that some people are dealt a much harder hand than others.
Right?
But the point is that regardless of what life throws our way, we all have the capacity to develop resilience.
Through choosing our response.
Exactly, by focusing on what we can control, our mindset, our attitude, our actions.
I mean, that's kind of empowering.
It is. It's about taking ownership of our own experience, even when it's painful.
And the video encourages us to not shy away from discomfort,
Right.
but to see suffering as a part of life.
An essential part of the human experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And even something that can lead to greater appreciation for the good times.
Absolutely, because when we've been through difficult times, the moments of joy and peace feel even more precious.
Yeah. You don't take it for granted.
Exactly. And, the video also mentions Alan Watts.
Oh, yeah.
And his perspective on suffering.
Yeah. What did he say?
Well, Watts was a philosopher who had this really interesting thought experiment.
Okay.
He asked us to imagine a world where there was no struggle.
At all.
No pain, no discomfort, no challenges.
That sounds kind of...
It does, right? Like a utopia?
Yeah.
But Watts argued that such a world might actually be incredibly boring.
Boring.
Yeah, because without any obstacles to overcome, without any challenges to push us to grow, we'd lose our sense of purpose, our drive, our creativity.
It's true. If you watch a movie and there's no conflict, it's just
snooze fest.
Yeah, exactly. It's well, that was pointless.
Right. And so Watts believed that the very act of struggling, of overcoming obstacles, is what gives life meaning.
And that's kind of like what we were talking about before.
With the contrast.
Yeah, you need the lows to appreciate the highs.
Exactly. And you need the challenges to appreciate the triumphs.
So suffering isn't just something to endure. It's actually an important ingredient in the recipe for a meaningful life.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
I try.
And, the video also touches on a more biological perspective on suffering.
The evolutionary perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why do we feel pain in the first place?
Right. It's like a warning.
It's a survival mechanism that alerts us to danger.
Don't touch that hot.
Exactly. Or if you're feeling emotional pain, it might be a sign that something in your life needs to change.
Like a relationship?
Yeah. Or a job. Or even just your own thought patterns.
So pain is information.
It is. It's a signal that something needs attention.
But the video makes this really interesting point about voluntary suffering.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what we were talking about before with choosing to do hard things.
Right. So voluntary suffering is when we intentionally expose ourselves to discomfort or pain.
Like training for a marathon.
Exactly. Or learning a new skill or pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone.
And the video argues that this type of suffering is becoming even more important.
In our modern world?
Yeah, where everything's so easy and comfortable.
Right. We have so many conveniences and distractions.
It's true.
But the video suggests that by embracing voluntary suffering,
we're actually making ourselves stronger.
More resilient, more capable of handling the inevitable challenges that life throws our way.
Because, let's face it,
Yeah.
life is going to throw us some curveballs.
Oh, absolutely.
And if we haven't built up that resilience...
Through voluntary suffering.
Yeah, through facing challenges head on.
We're going to be less equipped to deal with them.
And this all kind of ties back into this idea that meaning and suffering are intertwined.
Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin.
Because true happiness,
lasting fulfillment,
often comes from overcoming obstacles.
from knowing that we've earned it.
Yeah, it's like when you think about a time in your life when you really achieved something significant.
Right.
It's probably not the moment of oh, I did it.
Yeah.
It's the journey.
It's the struggle.
It really gives it meaning.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
the effort, the setbacks, the moments of doubt and uncertainty.
That make the victory so much sweeter.
And the video even goes so far as to say that suffering can remake us.
What do you mean?
Well, when we go through difficult times, it forces us to reevaluate our priorities, our values, our beliefs.
So it's like a refining process.
Exactly. It can strip away the superficial and leave us with what truly matters.
So maybe instead of trying to avoid suffering at all costs, we should actually be asking ourselves,
What can I learn from this?
yeah, how can I grow from this?
How can I use this experience to become a stronger, more resilient, more compassionate person?
Wow, that's a lot about.
It is.
So I guess the takeaway from this Elevate Journey video is that,
Suffering is not the end. It's a part of life.
and it can actually be a really powerful teacher.
If we're willing to listen.
So to wrap this deep dive up, remember,
Embrace the struggle.
embrace the struggle.
Don't shy away from discomfort
Because it's in those moments of challenge that we truly discover who we are.
and what we're capable of.
So what do you think about that, listener?
Yeah. Could you imagine a life without any challenges?
Would it even be a life worth living?
Something to ponder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.
Bye.